It's like a playground, but yet you don't know what's going to happen.
These children in this area already live in poverty. They shouldn't have to walk down the street to a death trap like this.
I am at 1007 West Maryland Street, where all the carnage from Kyle Hughes and Scott Marshall still exists. Today we're going to have the mayor come out here. The mayor, who is obviously a candidate for mayor, is going to talk to us about what the city is doing about this, what the city can do about this, and what the city can do about the other blighted properties in the community. This should be a good conversation. We've invited the entire neighborhood out, and this is going to be great.
I think it's immensely frustrating that there are property owners who can legally do this kind of thing, and to the extent that we can pursue legal action against property owners such as this, we're going to do it.
The property owner is a gentleman by the name of Kyle Hughes. In addition to owning this property, he stands accused in Memphis, Tennessee of stealing electricity using jumper cables. Kyle is, he will admit, very poor. Kyle got the property from the original business owner. His name is Scott Marshall. He owns a business that operates still here in town. And Mr. Marshall is doing pretty well. In Mr. Marshall's house, he has real live chickens in the front yard. And he gave the property free of charge to Kyle, and Kyle in exchange gets free rent in a house in Memphis, Tennessee that Mr. Marshall owns that has no electricity. He was shocked to find out from me that he owns a whole city block.
You own a whole city block up here. I tell you what, we clean this place up a little bit. We can start renting it to homeless people.
Really?
You know, dude, you own a lot of land up here.
He's all in a whole city block over there.
We are taking legal action against this property owner. As recently as of late yesterday afternoon, the city attorney has been in contact with this property owner, but we still plan to raise this site.
This particular project, from the fire on, we've been working on this. I know it doesn't feel like a lot's happened, but within 3 weeks, 4 weeks of the fire, we had a raise order affirmed before a hearing officer. Another 3 or 4 weeks after that, we had a contractor out to clean the alley so that the vehicles could pass through and knock down some of the walls that were dangerously standing. And then from that point, we got calls about kids being in it, so we put just kind of the warning fence up so that people would, you know, hope take notice. And when it became apparent that that was not going to be sufficient, we really started looking for funding.
What can be done to stop this sort of thing? What kinds of laws?
Certainly, I think there's probably a balancing act about, you know, how much leeway should a property owner have for their property, and then what is in the best interest of the greater community. And in a case like this, clearly what the property owner has done or not done has endangered the neighborhood. So we need to figure out, you know, examine both state and local laws and say, okay, what, off the top of my head, I don't know. I mean, it's probably a question better asked to some of the attorneys who have better knowledge of the specific state statutes and local ordinances. But certainly if there are means by which we can create more stringent statutes or ordinances, we need to certainly look at that. But we also can't forget that property owners have specific rights. We don't want to impinge on their rights, but on the other hand, there is a greater good.
I understand that the property owner has rights, but the public does too.
I agree.
How much in a second term are you willing to make this a priority?
I think based on the blight plan that we'll roll out next week, I think you'll see that it's going to be a very large priority.
So, Mr. Mayor, if we keep finding these folks, will you keep suing them?
Excuse me?
If we keep finding these folks, will you keep suing them?
Sure. If it makes legal sense.
So we just had a really, really good conversation with Mayor Winnecke and the community members who showed up, and Phyllis was here. Phyllis was the one that first brought this to our attention, and it looks like this is going to get cleaned up. We talked a lot about, you know, future uses of this property and going after owners who do this kind of thing, and people that have chickens in their front yard, and people who can afford to pay for the mess they leave behind. And we're optimistic and waiting to see what the mayor has to say next week about a blight announcement. He talked to us a little bit about that. He said he's going to make this a priority, and we're going to continue to make this a priority. We're going to continue to go around, look for houses that are junky, and find the owners and knock on their doors and see if they're stealing electricity.
The takeaway is that it reinforces the importance of listening to what's going on in neighborhoods, and it's reinforcing the fact that it's important that people reach out to the city when they see things that are not right, whether it's a safety hazard, whether it's an eyesore, any kind of blight. We encourage you to call the City County Building Commissioner's office and take action, help them take action. And it's important for us to come out and hear their concerns so we can make Evansville the best it can be.